What if our oldest stories are not just stories? What if they are memories? Across the globe, woven into the very fabric of our ancient cultures, we find tales of strange objects in the sky. We find accounts of powerful beings descending from the heavens. For generations, we have dismissed these as mere myths. We labeled them as the fanciful creations of a pre-scientific mind. We saw them as simple allegories for natural forces, lightning, meteors. But what if we have been too quick to judge? What if these ancient accounts are eyewitness testimonies, describing something real, something tangible, something we are only now beginning to comprehend? The question we must dare to ask is a profound one. Were our ancestors simply imagining gods and monsters, or documenting encounters with advanced technology they could not understand? In the vast and ancient library of Hindu scripture, we find something extraordinary. The texts, including the Ramayana, Mahabharata, describe flying machines called Vimanas. These were not simple metaphors for spiritual flight. The descriptions are detailed and technical. They are described as self-propelled aerial chariots. Some were shaped like a sphere. Others were said to be cylindrical. They moved with the speed of the wind. They could travel vast distances. They could move up. They could move down. They could move forward. They could move backward. The Sanskrit texts are very clear on these points. These were physical craft used by the gods in epic battles. One of the most famous Vimanas is the Pushpaka Vimana. It originally belonged to the god of wealth, Kubera. It was later stolen by the demon king Ravana. The Ramayana describes it as a large and wondrous aerial car. It could accommodate a great number of passengers. It moved according to the will of its pilot. It could travel anywhere in the world. It could travel to other worlds. The texts speak of its brilliant shine, like the sun. They mention the sweet sound it made as it flew through the air. Now let us place these ancient descriptions alongside modern UFO reports. The parallels are difficult to dismiss. The Vimanas, described as spherical, cylindrical craft, mirror the most common shapes reported by UFO witnesses today. For decades, people have reported seeing silent, metallic spheres, cigar-shaped objects, hovering, moving at incredible speeds. The ancient texts say Vimanas could move up, down, sideways, at will. This perfectly matches the non-ballistic or impossible flight characteristics of UFOs documented by military pilots and radar systems. They do not obey our known laws of aerodynamics, they simply move. The Pushpaka Vimana was said to shine brilliantly, like the sun. Countless modern UFO reports describe objects that emit a powerful, self-contained light. Witnesses often speak of a glow that seems to come from the material of the craft itself, not from external lights. The sound of the Vimana was described as a sweet melody. While many UFOs are reported as being completely silent, others are associated with a low humming sound, a sound that they feel as much as they hear. The Vaimanika Shastra, regardless of its true origin, paints a picture that is startlingly familiar to modern ufology. It speaks of propulsion systems that defy our current understanding of physics, such as mercury vortex engines. This aligns with theories about UFO propulsion involving electromagnetic fields, the manipulation of gravity itself. The devastating power of the Brahmastra brings to mind nuclear weapons, and speculation about advanced energy weapons that UFOs might possess. The Book of Ezekiel, in the Old Testament, contains one of the most bizarre and powerful visions in all of religious literature. The prophet Ezekiel, by the river Chebar in ancient Babylon, describes a great cloud with fire unfolding itself. He sees a whirlwind coming out of the north. Within this fiery cloud was the color of amber. From its midst came the likeness of 4 living creatures. Each had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their appearance was like burning coals of fire and like the appearance of lamps. Fire went up and down among the creatures. The fire was bright. Out of the fire went forth lightning. Beside these creatures, Ezekiel saw a wheel upon the earth. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the colour of a beryl stone, and they four had one likeness. Their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When the creatures moved, the wheels moved beside them. When the creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Their rims were high and dreadful. They were full of eyes round about. The spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. The craft did not need to turn. The creatures and wheels went everyone straight forward, in any of the four cardinal directions without rotating their bodies. Above the heads of the living creatures was the likeness of a firmament, like the colour of the terrible crystal. And above this firmament was the likeness of a throne, and upon the throne was a likeness with the appearance of a man. Section 5. Modern Parallels. Ezekiel's Chariot and Modern Craft. Let us reread Ezekiel's account, but this time through the lens of the 21st century. An engineer, not a theologian, might see something very different. In 1974, a NASA engineer named Joseph F. Blumrich did exactly that. He initially set out to debunk the ancient astronaut idea, but Blumrich became convinced Ezekiel was describing a real spacecraft. He concluded the four living creatures were not biological beings, but the four legs of a descending landing module. Visual diagram comparison. The wings could be helicopter-like rotor blades on each leg, used for maneuvering in an atmosphere. The wheel within a wheel has long puzzled scholars. To a modern eye, it's one of the most compelling parts of the description. Blumrich suggested these were the wheels on the landing legs, designed to rotate in any direction for omnidirectional ground movement. The rims being full of eyes could be rivets, or perhaps some kind of sensor array, or even the treads on a tire. The spirit of the living creature, being in the wheels, simply meant that the control system for the main body also controlled the wheels. The description of the craft's arrival is strikingly familiar. A whirlwind from the north, and a great cloud with fire. The colour of amber, the appearance of burning coals, and lamps. Sounds like a glowing metallic body, heated by atmospheric entry, with various lights on its exterior. The firmament above the craft, like a terrible crystal, could easily be the polished, transparent dome of a cockpit or command module. The figure seen within could have been a pilot, a being Ezekiel in his framework could only describe as a likeness of a man upon a throne. This is not a case of forcing a modern interpretation onto an ancient text. The language is all there. Ezekiel provides a step-by-step description of a machine's arrival, its appearance, and its movements. He is precise. He repeats key details, like the wheel within a wheel, as if to stress he is describing exactly what he sees. The technological explanation simply requires we believe Ezekiel was an honest and accurate observer of an event that was, to him, utterly miraculous. Section 6. Rome's Phantom Shields, Armies in the Sky. The ancient Romans were meticulous record keepers. Livy, Pliny the Elder, Dio Cassius. They documented the affairs of the state in great detail. They recorded prodigies and portents, unusual events believed to be omens from the gods, strange births, talking animals, a recurring specific celestial phenomenon, phantom ships in the sky, armies marching among the clouds, flying shields that shot across the heavens, glowing like fire. In 218 BC, Livy reports Amiternum. Men-shaped beings in shining white clothes were seen at a distance. A spectacle of ships, Navium, shone in the sky. In 214 BC at Arpi, round shields, Parmus, were seen in the sky. This was not a single, isolated event. The records are peppered with such sightings. Plutarch, writing about Lucullus and his campaign against Mithridates in 74 BC, tells us, as the two armies were about to engage, the sky reportedly burst open. A huge, flame-like body was seen to fall between the two armies. Described like a wine jar, Pythos, its color like molten silver. Both sides were so astonished they separated and withdrew. This was not a meteor. It descended between two armies, stopped the battle, and then presumably left. This is a report of an object under intelligent control. These are not the vague tales of village storytellers. They are entries in the official histories of Rome, written by respected and sober-minded men. Pliny the Elder, in his Natural History, catalogues several such events. A spark fell from a star and grew to moon size before ascending back into the heavens. A burning shield sparkled as it crossed the night sky. The Romans interpreted these sights as signs from their gods. But the descriptions themselves are of physical objects, not divine apparitions. Section 7. Modern sightings, shields, discs, unexplained lights. Let us fast forward 2 millennia. The descriptions left by the Roman historians resonate with an uncanny familiarity. The most common term they used, the flying shield, the palmer, is a perfect analogy for the flying saucer. A round Roman shield, held aloft and seen from below, is a disc. When Pliny describes a burning shield that sparkled, he could easily be describing the same phenomenon. Thousands of witnesses have reported a metallic disc-shaped object that glows and moves at high speed. Kenneth Arnold, 1947. US Navy pilots, 2015. The account from Plutarch is particularly compelling. The object that descended between the two armies was shaped like a wine jar. It had the color of molten silver. A wine jar, or pithos, was a large, bulbous ceramic vessel, often wider at the top, tapering towards the bottom. This shape is frequently reported in modern UFO cases, often described as a bell shape or acorn shape. The molten silver appearance is a classic descriptor for the seamless, metallic, and highly reflective surface. The object's behavior, descending, hovering, causing two armies to halt a battle, is a clear indication of a non-natural event under intelligent control. The spectacle of ships that Livy recorded shining in the sky is another powerful parallel. Modern UFO lore is filled with reports of motherships, vast carrier-like vessels from which smaller craft are seen to emerge. In many UFO flap areas, witnesses report not just a single object, but entire fleets moving in silent, structured formations. Even Pliny's account of a spark growing to the size of the moon and then receding finds its modern echo. This perfectly describes an object approaching from a great distance at high speed, becoming large and bright as it gets closer, and then rapidly ascending back into space. This is not the behavior of a meteor, which burns up in a fiery streak. It is the behavior of a powered vehicle maneuvering in the atmosphere. The Romans may have called them prodigies, omens, or shields of the gods. Today, we call them unidentified aerial phenomena. The name has changed, but the object being described appears to be remarkably, and disturbingly, the same. Section 8. Hopi Sky Gods, Kachinas from the Stars. The Hopi people of Arizona possess one of the most detailed and complex mythologies on the planet. Their traditions speak of a long and intricate history stretching back through what they call the Four Worlds. Central to their beliefs are the Kachinas. These are not simply gods or spirits in the abstract sense. They are described as powerful and benevolent beings who came down from the heavens to guide and teach the early Hopi. The Kachinas imparted knowledge of agriculture, law, medicine, astronomy. They were physical beings who lived with the people for a time before returning to the stars. The Hopi legends describe how the Kachinas traveled through the sky. They used flying shields or partuvota. This term is strikingly similar to the one used by the Roman historians. The legends also speak of the Kachinas arriving from the Pleiades. Petroglyphs found near Hopi lands, some dating back thousands of years, seem to depict these beings, often as tall, slender figures with large heads and strange antenna-like appendages. One of the most famous is the ant-person glyph, which bears a startling resemblance to the modern image of a grey alien. The stories say that when the time came for the Kachinas to depart, they promised to return. The famous Hopi prophecy rock carving seems to depict this history and future, a path of life with two routes and a disc-shaped object in the sky, connected to the first people. The Kachinas are still a living part of Hopi culture. In their ceremonies, dancers wear elaborate masks and costumes, bringing their spiritual presence back to the village. One of the most intriguing figures is the blue star Kachina. The coming of the fifth world will begin when the blue star Kachina makes his appearance in the heavens. This event is said to herald a time of great purification and change for the entire world. For the Hopi, this is not a metaphor. It is a literal event they are waiting for. The physical return of a being from the sky, just as their ancestors said he would. Their myths are a living prophecy. Section 9. Expert theories, visitors, visions, or misinterpretations. Faced with these stunning parallels, how are we to make sense of them? One school of thought, the ancient astronaut theory, proposes a direct literal interpretation. Proponents like Erich von Däniken say ancient texts are historical records of contact with extraterrestrials. In this view, beings with advanced technology visited Earth in the distant past. Our ancestors, lacking vocabulary for spacecraft and high-tech gear, called them gods and their vehicles chariots or flying shields. Vimanas, Ezekiel's wheel, Kachinas. A second perspective comes from psychology, especially Carl Jung. Jung proposed the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of archetypes across humanity. A powerful being descending from a circular object could be an archetype representing enlightenment, divinity, contact with a higher self. The UFO phenomenon is a modern manifestation of that archetype, a technological angel for a secular age. A third skeptical view says these are misinterpretations of natural phenomena or symbolic language. The flying shields of Rome could be a lenticular cloud or a meteor breaking up. Many theologians read Ezekiel as an allegory of God's power and argue reading it as a spacecraft manual misunderstands its religious purpose. Vimanas, from this view, are literary devices in epic poetry, not blueprints for flying machines. The similarities to modern UFOs may be coincidences, our modern minds projecting technological obsessions onto the past. Each theory offers a compelling lens. Ancient astronaut theory gives the most direct explanation of technical details. Psychological theory explains universal themes across disconnected cultures. The skeptical view reminds us to consider mundane explanations before extraordinary conclusions. The truth may not lie exclusively in one camp. It could be a complex mixture of all three, real events, filtered through the archetypal lens of the human psyche, recorded in the symbolic language of myth. Section 10. Conclusion. A question for the ages. We have journeyed through the sacred texts of India, prophetic visions of the Bible, official histories of Rome, living traditions of the Hopi people. In each, we have found clear and specific descriptions of aerial phenomena that defy easy explanation. We have seen flying machines described with technical precision, celestial chariots with omnidirectional wheels, glowing shields that stop battles, and sky beings who promise to return. We have also seen how these ancient accounts mirror, with startling fidelity, the reports of unidentified aerial phenomena today. The pattern is undeniable. The evidence does not provide a simple answer. Instead, it confronts us with a profound question. Are we looking at a global pattern of misidentification? Is this a psychological projection, an archetypal dream of humanity? Or are we looking at the faint, fragmented and half-forgotten memory of a real series of events? A memory of a time when humanity was not alone, a time when gods from the sky interacted with us, leaving an indelible mark on our myths, our religions, and our consciousness. To dismiss all of this evidence as mere coincidence seems an act of willful ignorance. The sheer volume and consistency of the descriptions demand a more serious investigation. The skeptical position, while essential for good scholarship, can sometimes become a dogma of its own, refusing to see the patterns right in front of it.